Okay, Tommy Marquez, welcome to Morning Chalk Up
Thank you.
headquarters. It's glamorous, as you can see.
Of course.
10 by 12 located.
Beautiful sign.
Exactly. So give us an update. What have you been doing for the last couple months? I know you've been working with us a little bit, but kind of...
Yeah, well, on top of writing for the Morning Chalk Up and doing, kind of trying to get a couple of projects off the ground and going, one of which just recently kind of came down the pipe was kind of a studio and video media output through collaboration with a lot of people that was working together at CrossFit HQ.
Do you guys have a name for that yet?
So the show Inside Elite Fitness,
Okay.
we don't have necessarily a name for the team yet. It's just kind of like this media collective.
The Avengers, right?
Yes,
That's how you described
exactly,
it. Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, the CrossFit Media Avengers.
Yeah, the
of some
former
kind.
HQ Media Avengers.
Right,
Yep.
I'm sure there's an acronym there.
Yeah, totally. And then, so we're doing that, working on putting out some studio content, some video media, very similar to what people are used to from us.
Kind of like update, Inside the Leaderboard Update Studio type of coverage.
Yep, interviews. Yeah, totally.
Right.
And then on top of that, we have a podcast. So that Sean and myself launched with a little bit of help here and there from Marson Sawyers and Heber Cannon. That's called Talking Elite Fitness. That's been out for about a month and a half.
Currently number 6 on the iTunes Health Podcast leaderboard.
We were high as number 2 for a little while. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, we charted, and the latest episode charted as well on its own. So that's been kind of taken off. That's been really fun doing that. The podcast is something me and Sean have been wanting to dive into for a long time. On top of that, I've been doing some other project work, one with this app called Challenge Me. That's been fantastic. They're like a mobile, like a social fitness platform that basically allows people to post workouts, host challenges and stuff like that. But they're about to do a Kickstarter for a huge campaign that they're trying to update and basically create what Twitch is as a mobile streaming platform, but for the fitness industry. So athletes, coaches can stream content, provide exclusive and direct access to themselves, their programming and stuff like that people can subscribe to and follow in the community. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of different
it looks
things.
like you've springboarded the last couple months into working with us. You've got a podcast, you've got a new video experience. You've been working with some sanction events, I think.
Yep, doing some.
So it sounds like you're just kind of like all over the industry right now.
Yeah, the analogy I liken it to is that before I had HQ, we had one really big potted plant that we had to water, and now I feel like I got like 8 smaller plants that I've planted seeds with and just kind of watering consistently as well. It's a slightly different project, still in the same game, still in the potted plant business.
Right. No, it's great that you've been able to parlay that into continuing to stay, and something we've talked about was just stay inside of CrossFit, continuing to grow the CrossFit media space and create new outlets for fans to be able to experience and get closer to the sport of fitness, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And so we're seeing a lot of that unfold, I think. Yeah,
and I think that was one of the things that really stood out to us. So a lot of us had to do some kind of reevaluation right after, a pretty... it's a very difficult life event to get let go from a job that you foresaw yourself being in for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. And so we had to take a step back, evaluate, okay, why do we love this job so much? Why do we do this job? And the common thread was the community, the sport, all of the people involved, the people that we want to continue to work with. And that technically hadn't changed. As long as we found avenues to do that, we could still be involved. Just because we weren't at HQ anymore, there was still plenty of opportunity to support the community, follow the sport, work with awesome people. And for me, I've been doing CrossFit for over 10 years now, so it's something that's as much
it's part of your lifestyle.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Regardless of whether you work at CrossFit HQ or not, you're going to be showing up every day at the gym to be using your fitness and growing. So changing gears a little bit, since we're so close to the Open here, and we can talk a little bit about that. We're obviously, we both together and separately are covering the sport of fitness, and obviously very passionate about the competitive side of CrossFit. We're just days away from the CrossFit Open kicking off. And what kind of things are you seeing right now inside of the competitive landscape as we've been covering sanction events and as we've been looking at athletes and talking with athletes? That you think are like who are some of your like top 3 that sort of need to watch, need to keep your eyes on?
Well, so I kind of frame it a few different ways. There's some athletes that I think you're going to need to pay attention to in terms of they need to really get a spot through the Open, or that they're not going to get or they're not going to get a spot in the Open, and maybe they're going to have to start looking towards the sanctioned events.
Yeah.
I've talked a ton about Dani Spiegel this season, and
can't say enough about her. Very impressive performance so far.
Absolutely.
Across both sanctioned events she's been in, and then she's going to be at London this weekend.
Her and Sarah both have had similar experiences at the first two sanctioned events, the two big ones in Dubai and Wodapalooza, and now they're both competing at Strength and Depth this weekend on top of 19-1.
Right.
So it's like they have been as present in terms of competition.
And very consistent across both events. Yeah. Fifth in both, I believe.
And third in both,
and third in both for Sarah. Yeah.
So, and I think Sarah is, from her past experience, you can kind of assume that she's going to be in the top 20 worldwide in the Open and be in line for maybe winning Iceland.
Yeah, the only year she's missed it was last year because, she was coming off an injury from November 2017 and didn't get as much training lead-up time. The Open wasn't a critical component to her strategy there last year, so I'm sure she would have been there if that had been necessary for her.
Well, even then, with the way this new format works, she finished, I think, 21st or 22nd in the Open.
Yeah, she was right on the border.
She would have taken a top 20 spot through backfill, so she still would have got it anyway.
Yeah, she would have got it.
And so now Dani, I'm very curious to see, okay, she's done really well at these high-level competitions, and how is she going to do when it's a slightly different format now?
Yeah.
You're going from like multiple events where your ability to recover throughout a weekend and multiple events is key, versus what is your best shot at this workout once or twice in a weekend, and then let's reload. So I'm excited to see if she can maybe make a push, like we've seen some of these new athletes show up in the Open. There's a stat that I've kind of kept going since the Open started. So every year, since the start of the CrossFit Games Open 2011, there has been an eventual Games rookie show up in the top 10 worldwide.
Really?
So now technically that's guaranteed, because if you show up at top 10 in the worldwide, you're going to the Games.
Right.
But in the past, someone has been able to parlay that experience and as a top 10 finisher in the Open into a rookie Games appearance. So I think Dani being...
I think she has like a clear demonstration of capacity, both she's a gymnastics background, and she's extremely strong.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the gymnastics component combined with strength, raw physical power and strength, is a very dangerous component. If she makes it through the Open, the 5 or 6 scored events for the Open this year, it'll be a very tough, a really interesting athlete to watch. I'm very excited to see her.
Yeah, it's funny. Brooke Hens is a very close friend of mine, and I see a lot of shades of what she did in terms of like, once she gets to that highest level, she has the potential to maybe knock a few out of the park and win a few events.
Yeah, you win a few events, and so it catapults you into that top 20 or top 15 position, and make some real big waves.
Totally. Yeah.
So to wrap up here, like, new season, lots of changes here this season. We've discussed this a lot in various formats over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
What are some real positives that you're seeing so far in the season that just kind of, I think, are improvements now that like a lot of the dust has settled about these changes?
Well, I certainly think, and this will be even more true next year as well. I just think the opportunity to compete is much broader for a lot of people. I think you look at now, there's 15 this year, 21 maybe
21
next
so
year.
far, but probably more.
21 different events that you can partake in. And now I think there's a initial financial burden on the athletes once they figure this out. But I think there's definitely a lots of opportunity for people to get competition experience that previously wasn't available to them under the CrossFit banner. So I think that's a big thing
and
for
some
them.
unique matchups. I think, I mean, seeing Sarah and Dani would never be in the same region. Dani is from Florida, would have been competing in the Atlantic region. They would never have been head-to-head. As well, Jamie Green. Jamie Green was Meridian. Sarah was Europe, and Dani was Atlantic, and they're all three of those athletes are going to be competing in London. So, as far as from fan experience, like it's really great to be able to see. Well, again, third time Sarah's competing.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to actually see these athletes in competitions
with higher stakes
with higher stakes, and I think that's a really good positive from the sport.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. I'm excited to see how that develops, because I think another thing that'll come out of this, and talking with a lot of the sanctioned event organizers, is that they're learning their craft as event organizers, from all sides of it, and that's something that we went through at HQ, growing pains of being able to. We always from a competition standpoint ran a good event, but learning the media side of things, all the other bells and whistles that you can add on.
Well, the stakes have been raised on everybody's level, right? From the competitive side, it's going to be more competitive to get to the games. From what you're putting on from an event standpoint, from media standpoint, it's just a lot more competition in the marketplace to be able to say, up your guys' game. With the CrossFit Games has set a standard on how to do this, and it's our job to take that and run with it and improve upon it across all the boards, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
where can people follow you and follow your journey as you're doing really, really awesome stuff?
Yeah, so at Tommy Marquez on Instagram. You can look me up, Tommy Marquez on Facebook as well. We have at Talking Elite Fitness and at Inside Elite Fitness. That's both on Instagram as well. Our podcast you can find through our Instagram page. We're available everywhere. And, awesome. I'll be around.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks.